Electric vehicles have slammed into a massive roadblock. The grand vision of a swift shift to electric cars is hitting the brakes hard. Most people don't want to buy them, and even Biden's plan for fast electrification has failed. With all this happening, it's no surprise that dealers are shunning EVs, trying to figure out how to offload them. They can't sell EVs anymore, so now they're dumping them. Here are the 5 major reasons why this is happening. Number 5, EVs are slow sellers. At first, car dealers were excited to sell electric vehicles because many people wanted to be among the first to own these eco-friendly cars. The demand for EVs was very high. However, car manufacturers faced problems with their supply chains, which meant fewer cars were available. This allowed dealers to sell EVs at much higher prices than usual, making a lot of profit. In other words, selling EVs was an easy way to make money. But things are different now. Today, fewer people are eager to buy EVs. The first wave of excited buyers has passed, and the middle class is not yet ready to switch to electric cars because they are still too expensive and not as convenient as traditional gas-powered cars. At the same time, the problems with supply chains have been fixed, but this has created a new problem. Instead of having more people wanting EVs than there are cars available, now there are plenty of EVs, but not enough buyers. As a result, the growth of EV sales has slowed down a lot. In fact, recent reports show that sales of EVs have dropped by 8% compared to the previous year. At the same time, the production of EVs went up by over 500% compared to last year, according to some sources. We're not sure if that's completely accurate, but it's easy to check on cars.com and see that the number of available EVs has increased by 36%. Because of this, EVs are sitting unsold, and dealers are having a hard time selling them. Even big discounts aren't helping much, so the number of days it takes to sell an EV is much higher than the industry average. The latest data shows that EVs take an average of 107 days to sell. Some specific models take even longer. For example, the Mercedes-Benz EQS takes 157 days. The Mustang Mach-E takes 151 days. And the VW ID4 takes 122 days. This means dealers have their money tied up in these cars for months. Many dealers have already said they no longer want to sell EVs because of this problem. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video, do well to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to show your support. If you've done that, let's continue. Number 4, small profit margins. This brings us to another problem dealers face with EVs. In the past, selling EVs was easy money for dealers because there were many buyers and not enough cars. This lets dealers add huge markups, making thousands of dollars extra on each sale. Even though they sold fewer cars than today, they made much more profit on each one. Because there are too many EVs and not enough buyers now, high markups are no longer possible. Instead, both manufacturers and dealers are eager to sell off their excess cars. Tesla has started a price war by cutting their prices by another $2,000, forcing other car makers to lower their prices too. There are many examples of this, but one of the most striking was the huge discounts Ford offered on the F-150 Lightning earlier this year. The price cuts ranged from $7,000 to $15,000. In such a situation, it's clear that dealers can't rely on markups to make money. Their ability to adjust prices is so limited that, in most cases, they can't expect to make any profit at all. This tight squeeze on pricing means dealers are struggling more than ever to sell EVs and stay profitable. We've even heard that some dealers are willingly giving up any profit margins just to clear EVs from their lots. Their main goal is to sell these cars quickly and get their money back. Given the current market day supply situation we discussed earlier, this isn't surprising at all. Dealers have cars sitting for too long, and they're desperate to move them. By cutting prices and not worrying about profits, they hope to finally sell these cars and recover their investments. This shows just how tough the market for EVs has become for dealers. Number 3, selling EVs requires hard work. Electric cars are selling much slower than expected these days, which is bad news for dealers. Selling their stock takes a lot of time, and salesmen have to put in a lot of effort to sell these cars. It's not just about waiting, it's also about working harder to convince customers to buy them. The problem is that when regular people buy EVs, the whole purchase process is a bit different compared to buying a gas-powered car. With gas-powered cars, things were pretty simple. You visit the dealer, arrange a test drive, finish the paperwork, and you have your new car. With EVs, things are a bit more complicated. There are more details to consider, like charging options, battery range, and available incentives. This makes the buying process longer and more complex for both customers and dealers. The latest studies show that potential EV buyers make an average of 4 visits before deciding to purchase. This happens because they are not very familiar with EVs and want to learn more to be sure they are making the right choice. While this is understandable, from a salesperson's perspective who works on commission, it is a waste of time. They now have to spend 400% more time to earn the same commission they would get from selling a gas-powered car. This makes their job much harder and less efficient. To put it simply, salesmen work 3/4 of their time for free when selling EVs. And this doesn't even include the buyers who visit a few times but then decide to not buy an EV at all. This happens a lot. Because of this, salesmen often use tricks to steer customers away from EVs. They might give false information about charging, range, or highway speed to make customers prefer gas-powered cars again. Number 2, no money for maintenance. Car sales bring in a lot of money, but for most dealers, they aren't the biggest source of profit. Instead, most of the money comes from maintenance and repair services. The problem with EVs is that dealers can no longer count on this easy money. By easy money, we mean all those services that usually come with gas-powered cars, like oil changes, engine repairs, and other regular maintenance tasks. With EVs, these services are needed much less often, so dealers make less money from them. Dealers often overcharge for even the most basic services like oil changes or small repairs. With EVs, there is no regular maintenance needed, and this directly impacts dealers' profits. When it comes to repairs, things are more complicated because EVs don't have the same issues as gas-powered cars. For example, EVs should theoretically have fewer problems than internal combustion cars. However, theory is one thing and practice is another. In reality, EVs cause 80% more problems than gas-powered cars. That's according to the latest survey by Consumer Reports. The main issue with EV breakdowns is that they are different from gas-powered cars. Most problems are related to software and electronics rather than mechanical parts. Dealers are unhappy about this because their staff isn't well trained for these issues. As a result, broken EVs often sit at dealer lots for weeks while technicians wait for help from the manufacturer to solve the problem. In other words, EV repairs can be more complicated and time-consuming, and this means dealers often have their lots filled with broken cars waiting to be fixed, which is bad for their business. Number 1, big EV investments. To sell electric cars, dealers need to meet rules set by the maker. They must install charging stations and train staff, but this needs lots of money. Dealers aren't eager to invest because of the uncertain EV market. The situation with Ford dealers clearly shows how quickly the market can change. Not long ago, Farley, the CEO of Ford, proudly announced that the company had made an agreement with 2/3 of its dealers nationwide to start an electrification program. This program included upgrades to infrastructure and staff training. Each dealer who wanted to join had to invest between $500,000 and $1.2 million, depending on the package they chose. By late 2023, only half of those dealers were still participating. Recent data shows that the number has now dropped to just 1/3. This shows that Ford dealers don't want to waste their money because, with the current market situation, they can't expect to get their investment back anytime soon. The Mustang Mach-E has a 5-month supply sitting on lots, and the F-150 Lightning is being produced at only 1/3 of its capacity. Understandably, dealers are not interested in investing in EV programs right now. Ford isn't alone in this struggle. GM is facing problems with its EV efforts. The company is losing a lot of money and has had to delay major EV investments like the production of an all-electric Silverado and Sierra pickups. At the same time, GM requires dealers to make big investments to sell electric cars. The most unusual situation is with Buick dealers, who were asked to invest $400,000 into an EV program, even though Buick doesn't sell any electric cars yet. Given this, it's no surprise that half of Buick dealers prefer a buyout program over investing in EVs. For other GM brands, the company isn't giving ultimatums yet, but is using various methods to pressure dealers. Dealers are resisting because they know what buyers want. And right now, there's no reason to push EVs and risk losing the steady profits from selling gas-powered cars. Alright, we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We'll see you in our next video.